Hey class, just wanted to begin our module number 4, week 4, as we discuss lighting principles and techniques. Last week we discussed just some of the basics, the overview of how the system works, but this week we're going to discuss more along the lines of how to run or set up those softwares. We're definitely going to, hardware and equipment, but we're definitely going to spend some time working on this during our workshop, hands-on learning. But this next slide you see, we've got the truss photo and the different types of lighting setup that we talked about this past week, past module, where you've got a different approach, especially the pictures on the right side. You'll see more of the concert lighting setup. And on the bottom right, you see kind of more of a theatrical lighting in the sense of, it's more of a theater where it's less color and flare to it. It's more for clarity, I guess you could say. But we'll keep talking through more of this as we go on. Goals for lighting setups. This is important to understand. First and foremost, you have to have enough lighting capabilities and custom options as needed for your current setup. So you have to really look at, what do I need? What am I trying to accomplish? And the temptation is just to run to the store and immediately start buying equipment without really knowing what you need. You can not only waste time, but definitely waste money. And so it's important to start small and start slow, but give yourself time to figure out these different sequences and different types of equipment. Do some research. There's quite a few resources out there nowadays with YouTube and the internet and websites, and definitely recommend buying quality. Doesn't necessarily mean the most expensive of the options, but buying quality over quantity, and slowly upgrade your system or set up your system in time. So theatrical lighting, you can see a picture here to the right, kind of an image of understanding how it's based on scenes. It's based on clarity. There is some color, there's some creativity, but a lot of it is really making sure that the people, the subjects, the scene is well lit and clear. There's typically little to no PTZ or robotic lighting, intelligent lighting, or strobes used unless there's a special scene that's needed. There's less color used. Again, it's more about clarity and being well lit for the subjects on stage. But lighting is more focused on seeing faces and reactions than it is, coloring and movement from the lighting. The lighting is more tame, I guess you could say. And then there's concert lighting. Concert lighting is a lot more about expressing and trying to work with the sequence of the music. I've even seen some setups where they have it automated, and we can talk about that a little bit. That's definitely a higher end setup, but when you've got a band that has clicks or tracks and things, they can automate the lights in the program ahead of time to hit during the certain impacts of the song, or during the certain sections. They can have sequences change. And so there's definitely some similarities. You definitely can have certain scenes and certain things, but there is a lot more room for creativity with the concert lighting. There's a lot more room for more drastic expressions and colors. But intelligent lighting and PTZ lights are heavily used in this setting, and this type of lighting setup. Artificial smoke and haze is basically a necessity to see the beams of light and to see the different shapes and forms that you're trying to express. Movement is a big part of the performance, being able to see what's going on, but also enhancing that experience with the lighting. The lighting board is most often used here, again, because the lighting board is almost seen as an artistic instrument of sorts, where the operator expresses a new level of lighting and beauty within the show. And so it's really a lot of lighting guys I've talked to in that setting. They really enjoy their job. They have a lot of fun with it, and they've got certain scenes or certain setups that they're waiting till the end of the song or end of the show that they're going to really hit hard with. But they are running it live a lot of times, or they're automating it if the band has gotten that far to have clicks and things. So it's a pretty neat thing. So concert lighting is definitely a lot of fun for the operator and the designer as well. Next, we need to talk about lighting design and how to approach for your specific setup or specific event. First and foremost, you need to make sure you get your front lighting set up. And, this is usually the wash lights. This is usually to get enough light on the stage to see what you need to see. So kind of a theatrical mind. Start with that first and then get creative with the back lighting to give some color on the back wall or some displays that you might have, some material, be able to add some lighting and depth to the stage. But first and foremost, you need to make sure the people that are on stage actually are able to be seen. But make sure you're getting enough light on their faces and on their bodies and in the places that you really make sure to have clarity on. It is important to be intentional with your setup. Don't just haphazardly go about this. You definitely want to make sure you're approaching it consistently. And again, with all technology, it's easy to have fun and get a little impulsive at times. Definitely be systematic and definitely be consistent with the way you approach your lighting design. Next, we need to talk about the basic setup and flow of your lighting system. First, it starts with the console or software where you are sending the signal then through the DMX box, which is converting that signal over, and then through DMX cables sent directly to the stands for the lighting, where that is all plugged in, where they have the ability to hang off of the truss and things like that. But it's pretty simple. You got the board or the console, then you've got the box, the DMX, and you got the cables, and then you've got the lights themselves. Now, before going any further, we need to talk about what is DMX. It's a broadcasting type signal. It's a pretty versatile, complex signal, but it works really, really well, and it's been a technology around for a while with lighting, and there's a reason they haven't walked away from it yet. The console software panel can send out DMX signals through what is known as a channel, and through this cable then to the lights. DMX works in a bus technology where it passes through, or also known as daisy chaining, sometimes that's called that with sound equipment as well, where you can run from one light to the next. And what's really interesting is the order in the wiring does not matter any way or form. It's nowhere near as complicated in the sequence of like audio sound equipment. DMX, as long as it's connected to the chain, you can then control it. So DMX has got a lot more complexity, but a lot more options to it. And so you can daisy chain lights together and just hook things up. So from a setting up standpoint and running standpoint, it's very, very versatile and easy to use without a lot of complications, as long as you have the right equipment hooked up. Okay, another important thing to talk about with DMX is the parameters. There's 3 to 5 most often in these DMX cables that represents up to like 500 channels. It's a pretty crazy amount of possibilities just from that one cable. Each represents a different aspect of the light. All these channels and these are known as parameters. These are the different things that you can tell the light to do. And so they come through like intensity, how bright it is or how intense it is, but also like color sequencing and how much color you want and how many different types of lights, and then also pan and tilt and sometimes zoom as well with intelligent lighting. Those are the parameters. Those are the kind of cues essentially that are being sent, but it's called parameters in lighting language. And then there's a thing where you patch your lights. You assign your lights with the DMX system into the software or board. So you have to patch the lights. You have to connect what we call the DMX address and the mode within the software or within the board. They have to line up. They have to match. So that's about the most complex part, is making sure everything lines up with the correct address as you're going forward with these DMX parameters. So in conclusion, lighting has a really quick startup. You just have to have the right equipment, have the right sequence. Really doesn't matter as much as it's just plugging into the right channels and plugging into the right things. and understanding the different uses of different types of fixtures and lights. Again, there are many, many other types of lights that you can use. It can be DMX controlled. However, these three that we focused on, and also the intelligent lighting kind of setup, are the most common and most essential as you're approaching your lighting setup. The main thing is giving yourself time and room to be creative and room to trial and error with your lighting setup. And then you may change your color sequence or your setup based off the week series or based off of the event or the night, whatever's going on. You want to be able to give yourself time to work through those things. And but this concludes Module 4, Lighting Principles and Techniques.